Hi, and welcome to this special edition of Design Jamaica. In this video, we are looking at county municipalities, replacing our parish municipalities for fewer, larger, and more unified county municipalities. How would that work? Well, we're here in this video to find out. So before we go any further, let's go back into a little history. Now, as you know, Jamaica had 22 parishes before the current 14 parishes that we are seeing today. The parish system in Jamaica began under British rule after the English captured the island in 1655. Initially, 7 parishes were established in the more settled south and central regions, named after governors, important figures, or places in Britain, including Clarendon, St. John, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Port Royal, St. David, and St. Thomas. Over the next 2 centuries, additional parishes were created as British settlement expanded, reaching a peak of 22 parishes by 1841. The 22 parishes included the current 14 plus 8 additional ones that were later consolidated. These additional parishes were Vere, merged into Clarendon; St. George, merged into Portland; St. Thomas in the Vale, merged into present-day St. Catherine; St. Dorothy, merged into present-day St. Catherine; St. John, merged into present-day St. Catherine; St. David, merged into present-day St. Thomas; Metcalfe, merged into present-day St. Mary, and most of Port Royal absorbed by St. Andrew, and a portion by Kingston. These parishes were distributed across Jamaica's 3 historic counties, Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey, which were established in 1758 for judicial purposes but have no administrative functions today. And that's what we're trying to undo in this video. But how? We'll find out later. Keep on reading. In 1966, the colonial government passed the law to reduce the number of parishes, consolidating the 22 parishes into the 14 that exist today. This was done to streamline local governance and improve administrative efficiency. The modern 14 parishes are: in Cornwall County, we have Hanover, St. Elizabeth, St. James, Trelawney, and Westmoreland. In Middlesex County, we have Clarendon, Manchester, St. Anne, St. Catherine, and St. Mary. And in Surrey County, we have Kingston, Portland, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. So what we have to understand here is that the original 22 parishes was actually reduced into the 14 current that we know today, mostly for administrative importance. To have 22 administrative parishes in such a small jurisdiction at that time, with not many people, would be literally way too much and irrelevant. So they were reduced into the 14 that we know today. Today, Jamaica has 13 parish councils, or what is better known as municipal corporations. 10 of these parishes operate as their own municipalities, or what we'd call parish municipalities, naming Clarendon, St. Catherine, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, and St. Thomas. Along with those, we have the parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew merging together to form one municipality. And this is mainly due to the city of Kingston located within both parishes. The official name of the municipality is, of course, the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. So now you know why this area is called the corporate area, because corporation, yes, corporate. In other words, both parishes come together to act as a single municipal corporation. Last but not least, the only municipality of its kind, which is the city of Portmore. Yes, this is what you call a city municipality, the only of its kind in Jamaica to not traditionally connected to any parish, and the only one to have its mayor elected directly by the people. But come to think of it, this is so not true, because when I look at what they have right now, Portmore does have a mayor, but the councillors belongs to the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. What? Now you see the reason why we need Portmore to become its own parish. Portmore is still a part of the parish of St. Catherine anyway, but the whole thing is just like so contrary. Anyway, moving on. These parishes also have their own chief towns or cities where their local municipal authorities meet at least once per month. In Britain, they are called chief towns, but here in Jamaica, it's more westernized. We call them parish capitals, similar to how the US call their state chief cities or towns state capitals. These chief towns or cities is where you'd also find government entities and agencies such as courts, mainly at the resident magistrate level, parish libraries, and some of them may even have a parish church due to the old British colonial era. In recent times, you can also find smaller versions of these government entities in other towns across the parish, like the resident magistrate court, a tax office, or even a town library. But even though you can find these smaller versions of government entities in smaller townships across a parish, everything would be controlled at the main building within the parish capital. And one thing you may not know, that the title of parish capital is really not subject to the town or city at all. It is subjected to the building, which is the municipal corporation building, where the parish government meet. So just like in the United States, where you'd have, when they said state capital, they're really not talking about the city. They're talking about the state capitol building. Here in Jamaica, our municipal system is basically the same thing. The town is not the capital of the parish without that building. Jamaica has 14 of these towns which act as parish capital, or probably you'd say 13 in some sense, because one of them is really not so relevant. But anyhow, these parish capitals are Maypen for Clarendon, Mandeville for Manchester, Black River for St. Elizabeth, Savannah Lamar for Westmoreland, Lucy for Hanover, Montego Bay for St. James, Falmouth for Trelawney, St. Anne's Bay for St. Anne, Port Maria for St. Mary, Port Antonio for Portland, Morant Bay for St. Thomas, Halfway Tree for St. Andrew, and Kingston for Kingston. For administrative relevance though, we really do not have to include Halfway Tree, because the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation main building is not in Halfway Tree, but is in downtown Kingston. Well, even though you have the St. Andrew Parish Church, and you also have the Parish Library, and other government entities can be found within Halfway Tree, this place called the corporate area is just so contrary. Moving on. And of course you have Portmore, that is a municipality and yes, has a municipal building, but doesn't have a capital because you guessed it, it is not a parish, it is a city. Which brings us to our final parish capital, Spanish Town, which is to St. Catherine, the same parish where Portmore is located in, at least for now. As you know, Portmore probably will be Jamaica's 15th parish. Or is it? We don't know. Moving on. So now that gives you a clear idea of how our parish municipal systems was formed, but still have no clue why we came up with the idea of turning our parish municipal system into a county municipal system. That is what we are getting into right now. You see, every 3 years, which should be every 3 years because the next one is constitutionally due February next year, and I hope you're keeping track of that, yes, to ensure that they don't do what they did the last time by postponing the election for 7 years. I'm talking about the local government elections. Every 3 years, we go to this election to elect a new parish council in each parishes. But really, when I check it out, that's what we've been doing, electing them for the elect's sake, because we're really not feeling the true spatial responsibilities of these parish municipal corporations. Pretty names. As you know, we Jamaicans just love the ray politics. We just, when election time come, we get all excited and pumped up, and then after elections, it's back to square one again. Bad roads to be fixed, communities don't have water in their pipes, mosquito breeding size increase without any signs of vector control, lack of garbage collection, dirty streets and markets, poor town planning, increase in the number of political garrisons and ghettos, major traffic problem, lack of development, no jobs, people don't know their member of parliament or even their councillors, lack of adequate funding within these municipal corporations, and the little bit with them raise, central government just take a portion of it and give them the little dribblings for just one run thing, which leads to a bunch of cold and bench warming municipal councils, and of course mayors that has no vision for the parish or the major townships. I don't know about you, but I couldn't tell when I hear one of these mayors implement a vision map for their parish capitals. Let me just put it at that. Not even for the entire parish, for the parish capitals. I couldn't tell when. Except for two of them that have some sense of civic pride. And I'm going to call them out. St. James and Manchester. I mean, I saw Mayor Vernon coming up with a Step Up Mobile program of, I don't know exactly what it is, but I like the name of it. And I like how it sounds. And I also saw where the mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell, intimated a plan for Mandeville to become a city, which is also backed by the Prime Minister himself. I mean, which other mayor in Jamaica you hear lobbying for their parish capital to become a city? Visionless mayors, the rest of them. Sometimes I even wonder why they even call themselves your worship or their worship, whatever. There's nothing there to worship. Good gosh. Big up to the mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell, and also the mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon. You are the two hardest working mayors, are probably the only two mayors that I see is actually doing some work and have some pride in where you govern. The rest of them, trust me, y'all should not even think of ever returning for the office of mayor after next year's local government election. So with all of that said, these and more reasons are the core factor of why even some of you, my valued subscribers on here, intimated that we should have county councils instead of the existing parish municipal corporations. I mean, some of you reiterated the fact that having county municipal corporations will give greater fiscal and judicial autonomous powers to one municipal corporation. You reiterated instead of having single parish municipal corporations, which are most likely weak, impoverished and unfunded, almost or fully controlled by central government, depending on central government entirely for funding, due to lack of resources or no form of financial niche whatsoever to suffice the local economies of these parish municipalities, making some or even most of them weak, powerless, irrelevant, and sometimes seems like they're even non-existent. Leaving most to wonder why even bother voting in a local government election. I mean, if you look at most of these councillors, they're literally only there to help their members of parliament to win a general election. I mean, most of the times if you listen to any councillor, if you actually know them, because most of you don't know them. Most of the times I hear they talk about PDs, political divisions, more than how they talk about their constituents. So these are just some of the reasons why our parish municipal system that we currently have failed us. Some of you, our valued viewers and subscribers, also intimated that geography also plays a big part in this, that the current parish municipalities are just geographically too small to support a spatial municipal system. You said that these parishes are just too small in population and just don't have strong economies to function as their own municipalities. Hence the core reason why the current system is so broken. You said that these 14 parishes need to be incorporated into the 3 counties, Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey, to operate as 3 single municipalities. So in other words, Jamaica would just have only 3 mayors. Now can you imagine being the mayor of Middlesex County and you are in Spanish Town trying to focus and control what is going on over in St. Anne's Bay or over in Mandeville or in Ocho Rios? That is totally on the other side of Jamaica. Or can you imagine the mayor of Cornwall County is stationed in Montego Bay and trying to see what's going on down in Treasure Beach or trying to control what's going on over in Hopewell? Not to mention the mayor of Surrey, which is stationed in Kingston and trying to look over the towering Blue Mountains, trying to control what is going on over in Port Antonio, while trying to control busy city Kingston with nearly 1 million people. So while, yes, we would have 3 bigger economies functioning as municipalities, those monies would be stretched thin because of the rigorous and wide and too large geography of these 3 counties. So basically what we'll be doing here is giving up quality for quantities, giving up 14 municipal corporations that can be strengthened and become quality municipal corporations for 3 large, stretched thin county municipal corporations where the resources would be too small to cover due to their large geography. So clearly already we can see why the parish system was chosen over the 3 county system. Core reason, geography. So with that said, I guess we can just end the program right here. That's it for this edition of the... But not so fast. These counties may be way too large in geography to function as single municipalities of their own, but that does not say that they can't be split into smaller counties. I mean, I've always just think that the reason why these counties are just so irrelevant in administrative matters, they are just too large. I mean, Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey, they are just too big. I mean, why we even have them in the first place? They are just so irrelevant. They're just there. 3 large geographical space that call themselves counties. Why? Look at the size of Cornwall. That thing is just too large. Look at Middlesex. Too big. Too wide. There is no way I'm in Ocherius in Middlesex County and end up in Mapen and still within the same county on the other side of the island. No, sir. That's not right. Plus, what I bet you never know this, that these counties do have something that are similar to the parish capitals, but they are not called county capitals. They are actually called chief towns or chief cities. But just like the counties at the administrative levels, they too are just as irrelevant in that regard. Plus, all of these 3 chief towns are already parish capitals for their respective parishes. There's Kingston, the chief town for Surrey County, Spanish Town, the chief town for Middlesex County, and of course Montego Bay, the chief town over in Cornwall County. For Middlesex County, I'm even wonder why they didn't choose a more central town like Mapen. That's right in the middle. Or even Chapelton. Why go with Spanish Town that is just at the edge of the county right next to Kingston? I mean, they are irrelevant anyway, so we're not even going to waste time elaborate on them. So yes, we are going to try to establish a county municipal system to replace our parish municipal system. But before we even establish a county system, we must inform you that Jamaica also has 5 administrative regions. That is even more relevant than the 3 counties, and these 5 regions are Central, which takes in the parishes of Clarendon, Manchester and St. Elizabeth. The chief town is Mandeville. Western, which takes in the parishes of Westmoreland, Hanover, Trelawney and St. James. Chief town Montego Bay. Northeast, which takes in the parishes of St. Anne, St. Mary and Portland. Chief town St. Anne's Bay of all places, Lord God. And finally Southeast, which takes in the parishes of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas and St. Catherine. Chief town is of course Kingston. Well, it's 4. I say 5 earlier, but it's actually 4. My problem with this map is that I don't like how some of the regions are like so large. I don't like it. The Northeast region, for example, where you have the chief town, which is St. Anne's Bay, which is all the way west in the far west of the region, and you have the rest of the entire region stretching out east. That is, St. Anne's Bay is not central, and the chief town should not be St. Anne's Bay. It should at least be Port Maria. Plus, this region is just geographically too large and too wide to function as a single administrative region. Look at the Southeast region, for example. Now look at Kingston and St. Andrew. Now Kingston and St. Andrew to themselves should have been a region by themselves. You're talking about over 1 million people within these 2 parishes alone. Not to mention St. Catherine. You're talking about over 500,000 people, which includes big Spanish Town and big Portmore. St. Catherine alone should have been its own region. St. Thomas can probably be included as part of Kingston and St. Andrew. The central region is not so bad because I think Mandeville is centrally located within this area. The western region also not bad, but I think is also geographically too large. It's just too far to travel all the way from Negril to Montego Bay for basic services. Basically, the people who come up with this map was just barely thinking about just divide up the island into 4 regions, and that's it. Not based on economy, not based on population. They just make maps so. Basically, that's what this map is. So we got to scrap this. So this not gonna work. Tell you about these people who call themselves technocrats. You're talking about Dr. This and Professor That, and are them people I want to believe and listen to. Not to people like we, who don't have doctor or professor in front of them name, but have common sense. But anyway. To be factual, these 4 regions was really created just because of the low number of basic commodities and infrastructures to adequately serve the publics. That's the reason why, especially when it comes to hospitals, you have only one of these hospitals that are called regional hospital in each region. In Jamaica, there are 3 types of hospital. You have the type A hospital that are mainly found in Kingston, like the University Hospital or the Kingston Public Hospital. Those are the 2 type A hospitals. So which means the highest level of healthcare services in Jamaica at the public level that you can get is at these 2 hospitals, and only these 2 hospitals in all of Jamaica. No, that's bad. And then you go down the line, you have the type B hospitals. These are the regional hospitals. You find one in Mandeville, which serves the central region, one in Montego Bay serving the west, and one in St. Anne's Bay that's serving the entire northeast area. And of course, you have those 2 in Kingston that is serving the southeast. And then you have the type C hospitals, the ones that are normally called general hospitals. That is there's actually one in every parish. Currently in Jamaica, due to the poor level of services that these hospitals normally serve to the public, because they just don't have the amount of resources to suffice the population, they are basically just operating as giant clinics that offers just first aid services. And I can give you an example. I am from Maypen, and the Maypen Hospital is one of these type C hospitals. Now, if I should get a 3rd-degree burn or cut, or probably a simple thing as needing a CT scan or a simple X-ray, I either have to go to a private doctor or a private lab to get these services. That is going to cost me triple times than what the public system would charge me, or I will have to go fork out $400 or $500, go all the way to Mandeville to the nearest type B facility to get public service, because the type C Maypen Hospital in my parish is not fully equipped to handle these types of services. And mind you, this same type B facility in Mandeville is also serving as a type C and a type D facility for the parish of Manchester. Not to mention those over in St. Elizabeth that is coming to Mandeville for the same services those from Clarendon is coming for, the basic services that they can't get in their parishes. Put on top of Manchesterians that is coming to this very same facility for the same basic services as those coming from the other 2 parishes. So right then and there you can see the strain that this big population is putting on this one facility. Now, Clarendon has a population of nearly 300,000 people. It is the 3rd most populous parish in Jamaica. Only St. Andrew and St. Catherine has more people. Manchester has a population of probably 180,000, and St. Elizabeth has a population of roughly 150,000. So now you're talking nearly 700,000 people depending on this one facility for basic services. Basic health services that they should be able to get within their own respective parishes. Now tell me, why do I have to travel all the way from Maypen to Mandeville to just a little cut, or to get a simple CT scan? Nonsense. Based on the high population of Clarendon, the Maypen Hospital should be able to provide these basic services as a fully operated type B hospital. So you get the example. So now with that said, the regions, the 4 regions that we have, the 4 administrative regions that we have, foolishness, garbage, rubbish, and need to be dumped. So we are going to redo these regions. We are going to make them smaller to be more adequate and can be more efficient to the general public, to the needs of the general public. We also think that these new regions should also become the new counties that can be adequately operated as municipal corporations. Currently there are 14 parishes, so basically we can pair 2 each, but not all together, because I think Kingston and St. Andrew should be its own county or region based on its population and influence. So Kingston and St. Andrew will be its own county, followed by St. Catherine and Clarendon, which should be one county. Next we're going to pair Manchester and St. Elizabeth, that's another one. Westmoreland and Hanover, that's another one. St. James and Trelawney, that's another one. St. Anne and St. Mary, that's another one. And we're going to have Portland and St. Thomas, which will be one county together. So now we have 7 counties. So how are we going to name these counties? Well, first of all, we are going to keep the 3 original county names, Cornwall, Middlesex, Surrey. But of course, only 3 of these new counties can get these 3 original names. So we are going to keep Clarendon and St. Catherine as Middlesex because Clarendon is the central most parish in Jamaica. It's in the middle, so the name fits this area well. Surrey will go to Portland and St. Thomas because that name is associated with somewhere, to the east. It's really an easterly name. So yeah, those 2 parishes will get that name. And Cornwall will of course go to St. James and Trelawney, simply because Montego Bay is associated with that name so much. There are so many things in Montego Bay that has the name Cornwall. We have Cornwall College, Cornwall Regional Hospital, so it's most fitting for these 2 parishes to keep that name. So they will be Cornwall County. So now we have 4 counties that has no name, the nameless counties. And what are we going to name these counties? Well, we are going to name them after some form of geographical feature that's associated with the areas, the respective areas. For Manchester and St. Elizabeth, the name Pedro is mostly associated with the parish of St. Elizabeth, so we are going to name this county Pedro. So it's going to be called Pedro County. I was thinking of calling it Don Figueroa Carpenters or Nassau because Manchester is associated with the first 2, and St. Elizabeth is associated with the latter. But Pedro is a more popular one, so we're just going to go with Pedro. Next is Hanover and Westmoreland. I can't think of a natural feature that would fit, so we're going to combine the names of both parishes together. Landover, the land from Westmoreland, and the over from Hanover. For St. Anne and St. Mary, I couldn't think of a better natural feature than the Dry Harbour Mountains, which is located in St. Anne, southern St. Anne. I couldn't think of a better name to call this county. So yes, this county is going to be Dry Harbour County. And finally, we have Kingston and St. Andrew. And the most popular name and the best fitting name I see for this area is, of course, Ligani. Because Kingston, the city of Kingston, is situated on the Ligani Plains. So that's the best name to call Kingston and St. Andrew as a county. Ligani County. So there you have it, the 7 new counties of Jamaica. We have Ligani, Middlesex, Pedro, Landover, Cornwall, Dry Harbour, and Surrey. So each county will operate as administrative regions, which also will be operated as municipal corporations. And going back to basic needs such as basic health care, every single county should have at least a Type B hospital. Nothing less. Every county should have a Type B hospital. So with the new counties, we should also have their chief towns. So we're not going to call them county capitals, we're going to call them chief towns. And the chief town for Ligani would of course be Kingston. Yes. For Middlesex, we're not going to keep Spanish Town because it's not centrally located. We need something that is centrally located, and we're eyeing Old Harbour. So Old Harbour will be the new chief town within Middlesex. The chief town for Pedro County would have to be Mandeville. It is not centrally located, but I don't see any other town that is adequate enough to serve as a chief town than Mandeville. So yes, Mandeville will be the chief town for Pedro County. For Landover, of course, it should be Negril because Negril is centrally located between both. I mean, the A1 main road meets up in Negril, also the A2 main road, so Negril is the best spot to serve as a chief town for this county. For Cornwall, when it comes to Mobe, there's just no debate. Montego Bay is centrally located between both parishes. The great influence that this city has on this region, there's just no debate that it should stay on as the chief town for Cornwall. For Dry Harbour, Ocho Town, Ocho Rios. Yes, Ocho Rios should become the new chief town, should become the chief town for Dry Harbour. It is centrally located between St. Mary and St. Anne. It should not be St. Anne's Bay, certainly should not be St. Anne's Bay. It should be Ocho Rios. And for Surrey, it should be Port Antonio. Reason being, it is centrally located because, as you know, Portland is a bigger parish than St. Thomas. Portland stretches further west than St. Thomas, so which means that Portland has more land space than St. Thomas stretching further west. Port Antonio is right there in the middle. So if you're traveling from anywhere in St. Thomas and from anywhere in Portland, all roads leads to Port Antonio. So Port Antonio, the chief town for Surrey County. For the new municipal corporations, we think they should be headed by a chairman, not a mayor, not a single mayor. We do think that the mayor should remain at the parish level. Yes, we do think the mayorship, we still should have a mayor of Maypen, a mayor of Kingston, a mayor of Mandeville, a mayor of Montego Bay, not the mayor of Cornwall. So they wouldn't carry the mayor of the county name, but they would still remain the mayor at the parish level. Just that the parishes will no longer be operated as a single municipal entity, but at the county level. So at the county level, you have the chairman who oversees the entire county, and under him you have the mayors who oversees the parishes that would oversee the rest of the councillors within their parish, their respective parishes. Now, just to let you know that we did not make this video to totally eradicate our parishes. A matter of fact, the intention of this video is not even to replace what we currently got now, which is the parish municipal corporations, because personally I don't find a problem with the current system that we have now. I think the layout, especially the geographical layout of everything, works well. What we got now at the parish level works well for me. Yes, me bro, I really don't have a problem with what we have now with the current layout. I think the parishes work well. So I don't really have a problem with the parishes operating as municipal councils. What I do have a problem with is the weakness and sometimes the irrelevance of our municipal councils the way they are now. Is like they are so irrelevant and non-existent to the needs of the everyday Jamaican. What I think is needed is a revamp of the councils. Take for example, certain things that central government is in charge of could have been passed down to the councils, to the municipal corporations, like roads, water, the building of a new school, or the erection of a new park. Things like those. Instead of having a ministry and a minister of local government, why not pass on full autonomy to the councils themselves? Give them more power to govern themselves as municipal corporations. Central government, you don't have to control everything. Give full power, and yes, the money too, to the councils and let them govern themselves properly. I'm looking at as simple things as our townships. Our townships are dirty. There seems to be a lack of civic pride, and we don't hear nobody talking about it, especially at the parish level. You look at the markets, you look at some of our sidewalks in our major townships. There's not enough sidewalks for people to walk or for the less fortunate and the disabled to traverse. Roads and bridges that need replacing. I mean, Prime Minister and Minister of Local Government, you cannot stay in Kingston and know everything that is going on within the parishes. You need to give more powers to your municipal corporations to manage these issues within their respective parishes. Taxes. I know how much we do hate to hear that word, but municipalities run on taxes. Central government have their taxes. The municipalities should also have their taxes. I think they already have the property taxes, but along with that, they should be having certain amount of taxes that they can implement to the business communities. Yes, I do think Mr. Chin and Mr. Wong should be paying some municipal taxes for operating businesses within, especially the major townships, to the municipality, not to the tax administration that will automatically go to central government. I'm talking to municipal tax that goes straight to the councils. For those parishes that have tourism, you have tourism taxes for the resorts, the hotels, and the different attractions, right? For those parishes that have other industries like bauxite, sugarcane, whatever, charge special taxes for those. I mean, if you're going to be in my parish extracting resources, you should be paying some sort of taxes that will go back to the people of the parish. That's how it really should go. So in terms of revenue collection, these are some ways where the municipalities could earn revenue on their own without depending on central government. I think our mayor should be directly elected by the people. The people should have a choice in who becomes the mayor. That way we can hold them accountable whenever they're not doing their work. You see, because they weren't elected by the people and they were chosen by the council, when they are not performing, we cannot hold them accountable. We have too many mayors that are just main but not working. It's time for that to change. And there are many other points too, but this video is getting really too long, so we got to get out of here soon. But just to point out to you ways on how we could improve the current system that we have at the parish level instead of going county. Because the 3 counties are just too large. And I think if we're going to establish something at the county level, the counties will have to be dissolved into smaller geographical units for them to function well, not at the size they are now. So those are just my points, those are my opinion, but I want to hear from you. What are your opinion on all of this? Do you think that we really should change out to a county system? Do you think that the 3 counties that we have now could work? Or should they be divided into smaller units like the 7 counties we intimated to be better effective in geography? Or do you support my opinion on keeping what we got now, the system at the parish municipal level? Do you think they should be revamped and re-established into more effective municipal corporations that will truly benefit the people? Or do you think they are quite fine the way they are? Look, this topic is a hot topic and I'm waiting to hear from you, especially a certain subscriber. Him really know himself because he is the main reason why I made this video. I'm heading to my laptop right now because I'm so waiting to hear from you all. This has been Design Jamaica. If you or anyone you know are about content like these and would love to see more content like this one on wide-scale development across Jamaica and the wider Caribbean, please go ahead and like, share, subscribe to Design Jamaica and the Caribbean. Leave a comment and please turn on your post notification bell so you can be notified whenever new content like these are out, showcasing massive development across Jamaica and the wider Caribbean. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.
Brought to you by Films by Joanne. Follow us on all social media platforms.